really, it's like over the years, finding what your process is something that's evolved. And accent now is the very first place I go, in the sense that it's a bit like learning the notes on a piano. And I have to start very, very technically. I get sent recordings with Michael Buster, who's my dialect coach, wonderful man. And we work out the intricacies, or we listen to the voices. In this case, Charles Cullen, has a very specific voice. And you learn it like music. But I have to start that months beforehand, so that by the time we're playing, you're not thinking about it. Now, some actors can access that quite easily. It takes me a while.
Yeah, I just have this feeling if I was an actor and I tried to play British, people would say, well, his inspiration is either Benny Hill or Monty Python. But I think it's
good inspirations.
It's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. You wouldn't even know. So good on you. So now, we all have that moment, and I'm sure everyone in this room has had that moment where you see a movie and you say, who is that actor? And I remember feeling that way when I saw Russell Crowe in LA Confidential, or Julia Roberts in Mystic Pizza, and you really popped for me in The Good Shepherd. I was like, whoa. And so you played the son of the CIA chief who figures in the conspiracy that exposed the coup attempt in Cuba that became known as the Bay of Pigs. Now, it's one thing to audition and have a director choose you. It might be different when that director is Robert De Niro. What was that like?
It was an amazing moment. It was a process. So I was doing a play, an Edward Albee play in London called The Goat, and there was a review in Variety about The Goat, and the casting director was in London with De Niro, meeting all these British actors for the British parts. There were 2 British parts, a spy, and then Michael Gambon's part. And the casting director had seen the play on Broadway in a different production and had read this review and thought it was quite incongruous, it didn't match, so she sort of called me in for a general meeting. But under the guise, there is no part for you in this. I just want to meet you, because she was an amazing, amazing woman who died very recently, called Amanda Mackie. And I have a huge amount to thank her for. And she said, I'll never forget it, it was in Oxford Street. And she then called me in the following day, and it was a casting couch unlike anything I'd ever seen. Because all these actors were coming to meet De Niro, and all for different parts, but it was like every extraordinary British actor you have ever seen, of 2 generations, of like the slightly older than me generation, and then the sort of Michael Gambon age generation. And to watch these actors who do not audition, all just sort of sitting there because they were waiting to see De Niro, was extraordinary. And I went in to see Robert De Niro, and he looked at me and he went, can you just, and I was like, what? And he goes, can you just, and I was like, and Amanda Mackie was like, I think he wants you to go and brush your hair. And I was like, okay. And he goes, just come back this afternoon, and I was like, okay. And I went outside, and Amanda was like, yeah, so you go and find a hairbrush and come back this afternoon with your hair in a side parting. I was like, okay. I sort of passing this extraordinary elite of British actors, go, fuck, it's that person. And you open the lift and it's like, oh my God, and it's you. And it went down onto Oxford Street, spun out, having just met Robert De Niro. Went and bought myself a comb, came back later that afternoon, and was waiting outside the meeting, and I'd now been given a scene that I'd had to learn. And I saw the door open as someone came out, and in there was De Niro, and then someone else, and I caught a glimpse of someone. I said to the assistant, like, who's in there? And they were like, well, Barb's in there, and Amanda's in there, and Leo. And I was like, Leonardo DiCaprio, because at the time, Leonardo DiCaprio was actually playing the part that Matt Damon eventually played. Anyway, 2 minutes later, I was doing a scene with Leonardo DiCaprio playing my dad, like I was having a breakdown into his armpit, you know, and with Bob De Niro giving me direction from there, and like I had a full-on out of body experience, which I was just like looking down on this scene going, what the fuck? Anyway, so that was the start of it, and then it was about, I would say it was about 6 months of flying myself back to New York again and again and again. Bob is amazing, but puts you through the paces, and you know his way of directing is something that I've taken, and actually we used a bit in this film, which is if there are very emotional scenes, he'll keep you playing through the emotion, and then rather than call cut, he'll tell you to sort of embed it in you and start the scene again. You know, just go straight back into the scene. And so there were things that I learned on that film, but I will never forget. I was standing on 7th Avenue in New York, and Amanda Mackie, this casting director, had been a real champion, and I got a call from her, and my legs just sort of buckled. I remember I was standing next to a building, and I was like, oh my God. Because I was basically, I think, only cast though because I was playing Angelina Jolie and Matt Damon's son, and I have big lips. So I was like, I had one, in the same way that when I was cast in Savage Grace, I was playing Julianne Moore's son, and I have freckles. Like, there are various moments in my career where things have been really useful.
Wow. Well, now, so